Welcome to the startup grind.
All right, so that's us. We run sites like Memebase, Failblog, Can Haz Cheezburger. In total, we run about 60-some websites, and we are probably one of the older websites when it comes to internet memes and internet culture. So if you look at the Google search results for the word meme, Cheezburger was born September of 2007 as a company. The site, Can Haz Cheezburger, which I acquired, was actually started in January of that year. So 8 months later, I decided that really I didn't really like my job anymore, and I wanted to buy a cat picture website and take a risk on my career. Turned out it was okay. The thing about this is, like, I want you to know something about internet success stories. You hear a lot of oddball internet success stories like mine, and you're like, wow, you can pretty much do anything, take any crappy idea and turn it into a business. It's kind of true, but there's a what's called a selection bias involved. The ones that didn't work, you will never hear about. Okay? Just let that be a little bit of warning to you. If you want to go do something crazy like what I did, there's probably 1,000 guys like me where it didn't quite kind of work out. So, why did our model work out? Why did our version of people creating captions and putting them on cat photos work better than others? One of the things we understood very early on in our company's history was that it wasn't about the cats per se. Cats obviously are a big part of lolcats and internet memes. But it was about humor. It was about the power of humor. And if you actually do some research into the power of humor, it is incredibly physiological. It isn't just psychological that, like, you want to laugh and have a good time. It is also very clear that when you laugh, your body reacts to it in a certain way to actually improve the condition of your physical environment, which is kind of interesting. And if you look at humor theory and how evolution has worked, there's a lot of ideas about how humor evolved, but no one, still to this day, has really a clear grasp on why is it that humanity has a sense of humor. So January 11, 2007, a boyfriend receives an IM from his girlfriend, who apparently hangs out in 4chan. And the girlfriend sends him a photo of a cat that says, Can Haz Cheezburger. He laughs for quite a long period of time and decides to create a shrine for this cat. Now, this guy, he lives in Hawaii. His name's Eric. He's now an entrepreneur in the Valley here as well. The funny thing is, he made one key change in his plan. Instead of just buying a domain name just spelled exactly like this and putting up a picture of a cat, he installed WordPress. And instead of posting one photo, he gave himself the option to post an infinite number of cat photos on the internet. That seemingly innocent decision made him go from telling a joke to enabling millions of people to experience humor and share it with one another. So in September of 2007, I ended up becoming friends with Eric over the internet for some really random reason. We had never met, we had never spoken to one another, and over instant messenger, after I was helping him out on how to make more money on the internet with ads, I offered to buy his website over IM. And he said yes. And so now I was going to quit my job, raise a bunch of money to start a company, and the first thing we were going to do is purchase this crazy-ass website. Not a bad plan. Well, for the first few months, I was kind of working by myself, working with a handful of people, and it was very difficult to convince legitimate employees to come work for you. It's like, really, how long are you going to be around? And I said, you know, we can keep evolving. We can keep changing who we are. We can keep growing if we continue to keep our eyes open. And Failblog was actually relatively under the radar in the beginning of 2008. And in April of 2008, we bought Failblog from this guy in London. And what happened was, 5 months later, the world economy crashed and banks started failing. And the word fail would be used pretty much in every newspaper, every day, nonstop, as banks were failing and we're worried about the economy and things like that. So if you went to Google, and this is when they still had the I'm feeling lucky button, you type in the word fail and you press I'm feeling lucky, Google took you to Failblog. Traffic went nuts, literally overnight. Again, stroke of luck. So we turned that luck into a business. We continue to grow, we continue to iterate, we continue to try new ideas and new sites. In fact, there was a point in which we were creating a new site every 2 weeks and shutting the ones down that didn't work. So long story short, about 2 years ago, we actually raised our first round of venture capital of $30 million, and we've raised a little bit more since then. And then the question came from the investors, now that you have $30 million of our money, what are you going to do with it? And I said, I don't really know. We'll figure it out. Our philosophy was very clear. We wanted to make the world happy for 5 minutes a day. That's our dream. If this is our mission statement, every dollar we earn, every effort we exert will be directed at fulfilling this goal. If Google's mission is to organize the world's information, I think that's what their mission is. I'm not sure. It's pretty close. Our mission is to make the world happy for 5 minutes a day. We have to figure out how do we make you have a wonderful experience on our site that you will want to come back. How do we accept you as an individual, your taste in humor, and actually make sure that you will want to come back the next day. And that actually relies on cultural relevancy. So if you think about what is really popular in terms of humor and viral content on the internet, it is because at one point it hits something that we all know to be true. Seinfeld is a great example of a show about virtually nothing. And in fact, a show about nothing was really popular because it relied on our ability to relate to one another through the most mundane things in our life. How many of you have seen a rage comic? Like those poorly drawn cartoons? Okay. A rage comic is a user-generated series of cartoons or comics where people talk about something that frustrates them, right? You run into a shower, you will turn on the hot water or the shower heat, and there's this weird little point where if you go a little bit further, you're scalding hot, and if you're this much to the left, it's freezing cold. Everybody has had that problem at least once in their life or continue to struggle with that. A rage comic that talks about that little frustration can be shared thousands of times. While it's not Daily Show, while it's not a stand-up comedian saying something really amazing or insightful, it's that cultural relevance that causes people to want to share this type of humor and content. This is the reverse of cultural relevancy. I can't tell you how precisely this... All right, where's the laser pointer? All right, this is a van with no windows that says free candy. It is parked in a residential neighborhood at night. If this is not the creepiest thing in the world, I don't know what is. This is relevant because, ironically, we've heard of people who do things like this. And they're not the nicest people in the world, and we're scared. And ever since we're children, we're told to be afraid of boogeyman. And here it is, the boogeyman offering free candy. Oh my God. This kind of zeitgeist, this kind of summation of our common and shared experiences is what actually enables people to laugh and have fun on the internet. And in fact, images, you would think that videos and that content is great, and it is, but images for some reason continue to capture our imagination. Because with the image, the moment of consumption is the same as the moment of analysis. And I'll explain that a little bit. How many of you have received a link for a video and your friend's like, you got to check this out? Everybody, right? You get it all the time. You're probably getting them right now. And what's funny is that when you receive that link, you're thinking to yourself, do I trust this guy? Does he or she have good taste? How long is this video? And while you're watching the video, you're constantly thinking, should I keep watching? Should I keep watching? Maybe I should stop. No, maybe there's something there. You're constantly making an evaluation as to whether you have the time to spend basically peering into the unknown. That's the problem with a lot of videos that get shared around the internet without its context. That's why shows and branding and distribution channels are still important in today's day and age, because they serve as a proxy for trust. But when you receive a video out of the blue and you don't know what it is, you're constantly asking yourself, when do I get to bail on this? An image, on the other hand, you see it, you know it, you've already made up your mind. That kind of lightweight is actually perfect for a fast age of social media where your stream is being clogged by lots of updates. It's effortless and fun. You can actually do this at home. You can take your tablet in front of your TV and one copy, legal or illegal, of Inception and recreate this. There are tools that are available out there now for you to express yourself, and you could potentially have a piece of content that can be seen by millions of people. That's actually a very, very enticing and powerful draw. A moment of inspiration will strike you, and you will find yourself going, I could make some people laugh. And the internet is getting better and better at harnessing this. And in fact, when we say we create content, there's actually 3 types of creation. You can actually make something, create. You could actually remix something. I took somebody else's photo and I put a new caption on it. Now, therefore, it is mine and I made that. Or even curate. Oh, I have a Tumblr blog and I curate the 50 best plants in my neighborhood. I made that blog. Like, that's something that people are proud of. And so when you're on the internet and somebody says, I made something, it's actually one of these 3. It's not always this thing at the end. The idea of creation is no longer binary, whether you originated the content or not. The idea of creation on the internet actually spans a spectrum. So that really turns the content world upside down on its head. It turns the idea of crediting and labeling and work and distribution upside down, because anybody can reach millions of people and anybody can create by doing something that was formerly not seen as being creative. So if you're looking at the face of content apocalypse, where nothing seems to follow the rules of yore, then what do? What can you do about it? First lesson, always remember that there are more of them than there are of you. If you're a brand or business or a startup trying to reach more people, you cannot lose sight of the fact that there are millions of them making judgments about you. This is a not-to-scale diagram of the Earth and the Sun. The Earth is actually much smaller than that in real life. And this is how the old media saw that relationship. That was them, professionals who created content, the media, or you, the marketer, and then us, the stupid people who are supposed to buy their shit. Right? That's what advertising is. You have a deficiency. Your hair is just not brilliant enough. Your car is not going to get you laid. There's a deficiency, therefore you should buy my product. Well, we are a little bit smarter than that. While marketing and advertising has come to understand that that does work, social media has beginning to show that there are limits to their ability to make us fear for our inadequacies. That in fact, that relationship building becomes more and more important. If you think about the amount of content that is created, users create more content in one day than the entire media or the advertising world or branding world creates in an entire year. In fact, a lot of big brands, a lot of forward-thinking brands, for example, Coca-Cola, are saying, we need to get in the business of creating and distributing content. That they're embracing the idea that as a brand, people love what they do, and sometimes they don't, but a lot of times people love having a relationship with a brand that they like, and therefore they need to embrace the idea that as a brand, they need to amplify the actions of their users. I can't tell you how far from fear, uncertainty, and doubt that kind of message is compared to the past. It is not, if you don't drink Coke, you will not be popular. It's, we know you love us, we love you back. That's a seismic change in the way we understand marketing and distribution. And one of the interesting things about when you let users run wild is that they make weird stuff popular. Chuck Norris facts. Anyone know Chuck? No? Okay, yeah, you know him. Chuck Norris has a fist behind his beard. Chuck Norris has counted to infinity twice. Right? It's stupid, silly stuff like this. Chuck Norris has nothing to do with that. In fact, it was run by a college kid at Brown University who compiled a blog and then got sued by Chuck Norris. So the unwashed masses like you and me are apparently really fond of not high production value or marketing hype. They're very fond of things that we didn't know that we were fond of. We are fond of surprises. We're fond of things that allow us to connect with one another. And I believe that this internet culture, the idea that we're generating content for consumption by our peers, is going to produce the rock stars of tomorrow. In fact, we did kind of quasi-produce a rock star named Rebecca Black. Anyone ever heard of Friday? Yes. I would like to apologize. The blog that first discovered Rebecca Black was the Daily What, which is one of the blogs that we run. From there, it went to Comedy Central and a bunch of other places. It was actually a submission sent in by one of our users, and we get tons of these. We get tons of really bad stuff all the time, right? And then one day, we got some really bad stuff, and we're like, this is really bad. There's something really awesome about how bad this is. And it turns out that it was really an interesting cultural commentary on the vanity of money and our parenthood. That we are willing to pay $10,000 for a crappy production of a song that has no merit of any kind, just so that our preteen daughter can feel good about her self-ego. It's terrible in its essence, yet we recognize from a subconscious level that we enjoy making fun of this. And by enjoying making fun of it, we have made her a millionaire. The world isn't quite as it seems, and being weird is okay now, because the internet allows us, the weirdos, to actually express what we really love. If you attend baseball games, you may see a very interesting phenomenon. There's actually, the Seattle Mariners have an interesting evening where they invite knitters, people who love to knit, to a baseball game, and they sit in like the nosebleed section of the baseball stadium, knitting and watching baseball. I asked the marketing director, how the hell did you come up with this idea, and how did you think that it was going to work? And he's like, A, I didn't know if it was going to work. B, I went to a forum of Seattle women who knit and asked them if they'd like to attend a baseball game together. The fact that he could go and find a forum in which there was a bunch of people knitting by themselves in Seattle, but communicating through the internet, is pretty awesome. Because pre-internet, that didn't really exist, that you were alone and you thought maybe, because I'm not a 65-year-old grandma, me knitting is a little strange. Turns out, you could fill a few baseball sections with such weirdos, right? Thank you, internet. Turns out, if you like to caption cat photos, there are millions of people like you. Isn't that pretty amazing? Perspective, award, success, fame, perhaps one day they'll be yours, but the fact is nothing you'll ever do will be more popular than that online picture of bacon taped to a cat. Remember this when you are starting to market your product. There's your product, which I'm sure is fine, but there's this, and that's a hell of a lot easier product than yours. Consuming this cat photo, laughing at it, sending it to their friends, is an incredibly easy and weirdly natural act on the internet. And when you are creating a product and your message, if you can't compete with this, you're going to have a hard time. Your messaging, your core values, your reason for existence must be so simple that somebody has to be willing to send it to their friends and have it be understood. You have to understand that you're competing against so many distractions that you've got to boil yourself down to this level. I know that's really challenging. Like, if this is like the pinnacle, getting pretty close is good enough. But remember that this is your goal, of as simple and as brilliant as bacon taped to the side of a cat. And if people hate you for that, why are you sharing this crappy bacon cat stuff? That's okay. Haters are going to hate. Just remember that every revolutionary is being told that they're crazy until the revolution starts. And the revolution has well started. The revolution started years ago. A bunch of dudes who thought you should be able to upload any video for free on the internet. Yeah, it was called YouTube. They sold it to Google for $1.6 billion. In fact, if you look at Google, YouTube searches account for 1/3 of all their searches. It means YouTube is the world's second largest search engine. Why? Because a bunch of guys thought that you should be able to upload your video for free on the internet when uploading videos to the internet was virtually impossible. Revolutions are not accepted as revolutions until it is almost too late. And so don't let the haters get you down. That's number 2. There's still more of them than there are of you. So if you are going to use social media to reach and spread your message, you're probably doing it wrong. Because it is not about a broadcast method. It is not about sending your message to others. It's not a gold rush. This is a love poem. You know the feeling you get right before you get a Tetris? Yeah, you make me feel like that. That's filled in, by the way. It's hard to tell this projector. But this will go down here. Tetris is a really old game. It was not even 3D. If you put this down the right, 4 lines will disappear, and you get what's called a Tetris. It's pretty amazing for all you youngsters in here. Social media is about matchmaking. Social media is about surfacing the type of communications and connections that was previously unavailable. If you want to reach people in mass, it's called radio, television, print. If you want to build relationships and match people to their interest, that's what social media is good at. And ironically, despite the fact that we have spent all of our lives being inundated by commercial messages, we are more likely to advertise a product or service for free on social media than ever before. We've been telling everybody that we are inundated with ads. We've been telling everybody we're inundated with commerce and capitalism. Yet you go on Twitter, and it is undoubtedly one of the best mediums for people telling others where to shop, for people telling one another where to go eat, for people telling one another what apps to download. It is an incredibly commercial medium, yet we dress it in the veneer of, let me help you, let me build this relationship, instead of broadcast. Here's some examples. Frank Zappa's mustache totally looks like this Toyota truck logo. Toyota did not pay us. This is from our site called Totally Looks Like. Toyota did not pay us $1 for that. I wish they did. Puma. Still didn't make money from this either. It is amazing how when you tell people who tell you that they're sick and tired of advertising, and you give them the tools to create and be creative, they will reflect the brands that they're familiar with. And the role of social media is to amplify this voice, because there are more of them than there are of you. That there's more of them who want to engage with you at this deeper level. And what I want to do is I want to go to Puma and tell them, hey guys, you should embrace the message that your fans want to tell. Because they will tell their story, but not yours. You can tell them what your brand is all you'd like. You can tell them that you stand for excellence and blah, blah, blah. What they really care about is, what did you do for me? Because they want to tell their friends. And if you can't nail the execution part of your business, then all your branding and your messaging is like pushing water uphill. It's going to be very difficult to counteract the sea of people telling personal stories with you trying to shout your impersonal branding message over them. There's big social. There's the mass media-like approach to driving a message. You want to say, this is acceptable. If you say something about our brand outside of what our brand thinks is correct, then we don't support that, we don't acknowledge that, we don't listen to that. And then there's little social. You say, we stand for something little, and we let our users build our brand message around that. The former is mass media. The latter, letting your users build a message around your brand, is social media. Lesson number 3, nothing lasts forever. The thing that you thought was so amazing, Grumpy Cat, fucking amazing. Anybody who has not seen Grumpy Cat? I am so sorry. Okay. Just Google Grumpy Cat, and it'll make your month. Grumpy Cat is a cat that basically looks like it's got a permanent frown on its face, and it is so adorable, it makes you want to stab yourself in the eye. Even Grumpy Cat will outlast its popularity. So if you look at MTV, the way that they overcome this sporadic, hit-driven business is they have created a machine for distributing hits, right? MTV doesn't show music anymore because they figured out they can make more money selling TV shows. And what they do is, every few years, they come up with a bunch of new TV shows, and they keep cycling these things over. I should know, I'm part of a reality TV world, right? Like, they figure out who's doing some weird shit and see if we can make you into a TV show, right? Do you have, your abs that you call the situation? Great. Let me see if we can sell that to America. It's media-driven. They produce the content, they distribute the content. Us, we're user-driven. We do not produce the hits ourselves. We enable our users to find people who appreciate that content. That's what being user-driven is all about. We are letting you craft a universe where you can be happy for yourself. We're not afraid that you are going to take control of the system for your own self-pursuit. And that's kind of the difference between the internet versus the interwebs. Great companies, Expedia, CNN, Amazon, transactional. I consume, therefore I internet. Like internet as a verb, right? I'm using this thing called the internet to do what I want to do, right? I want to buy tickets, I want to buy stuff, I want to read some news. It's very transactional. The interwebs looks like this. I want to have fun. I want to express myself. I want to tell you about me, not have a transaction, but I want to have you understand me as I want you to understand me. There's a reason why you go on Foursquare and it turns out no one really checks into McDonald's. They really love to check in and out. Turns out McDonald's, much bigger company than In-N-Out. Because we want to express our best selves. In branding, this is called self-actualization. The idea that you want to be as good as you can possibly imagine yourself to be. And expression allows you to do that freely. It allows you to build your persona on the internet that may be actually better than who you actually are. And that's great. It's like we're living, like playing a game of The Sims, but with our own identities. The mantra here is, I participate, therefore I am the internet. That we belong on the internet. You've heard of people say things like, I live on the inner tubes, like I live on the internet. That's what they're saying. It's not that they're saying, I live to shop and I go to Zappos and buy 500 pairs of shoes every month. You might, that's a problem. If you tell me that you live on the internet, chances are your identity and your perspective on the world is informed by your peers more than mass media, bar none. You are consuming a world that is weirdly more personal and more real than TV, who could bring you a live battle from the Middle East right into your living room, could ever do. You're having a real conversation with real people and having your idea of the world challenged and changed and tweaked by your peers. So if I want to wrap this up, I can say it very quickly. If you get bored by the next guy, you can go to my site and waste your time. I don't have a problem with that. If you want to have people send your message, acknowledge that there are more of them, that they care about themselves before they care about you, and that if you shout at them using a tool that is not meant for shouting, that they'll probably ignore you. That if you want to enable them to send your brand message, then allow them to participate. Allow them to take that message and change it and tweak it to their own. If you want them to spread your brand message, make sure that it is incredibly simple, short, and sweet. Because like I said, there's an infinite number of bacon taped to a cat available for them. Thank you.